Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a 2016 fantasy film directed by David Yates and written by J.K. Rowling. It is the first installment in the Fantastic Beasts film series and the ninth overall in the Wizarding World franchise, serving as a spin-off and a prequel to the Harry Potter film series, inspired by the 2001 guidebook of the same name by Rowling. The film features an ensemble cast that includes Eddie Redmayne, Colin Farrell, Dan Fogler and Katherine Waterston. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them premiered in New York City on the 10th of November 2016 and opened in theatres worldwide on the 18th of November 2016 in 2D, 3D and 4D and Dolby Cinema and IMAX formats by Warner Bros. Pictures. It received generally positive reviews from critics and emerged a commercial success after grossing $814 million worldwide, making it the 8th highest grossing film of 2016. The film was nominated for 5 British Academy Film Awards, including Best British Film, and 1 for Best Production Design. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards and 1 for Best Costume Design, becoming the first Wizarding World film to win an Academy Award. A sequel, The Crimes of Grindelwald, was released in November 2018, and a third film, The Secrets of Dumbledore, was released in April 2022. Now the cast include Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander, an introverted British wizard, magizoologist and an employee of the Ministry of Magic. Scamander is the future author of the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry standard textbook, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Redmayne was cast in June 2015. Matt Smith and Nicholas Hoult were also considered for the role. Katherine Waterston as Porcinia Esther Tina Goldstein, a grounded down-to-earth witch and former Aura employed by the MAC USA. She longs to fight for what is right, but was demoted to a position well below her skill level. Dan Fogler as Jacob Kowalski, a genial nomage or muggle cannery worker and aspiring baker who is accidentally exposed to the New York City magical community after he and Newt accidentally switch suitcases. Alison Sudol as Queenie Goldstein, Tina's younger sister and roommate. Described as a free-spirited, big-hearted bombshell, she is naturally born and skilled legilimens. Michelle Rodriguez, Caroline Murphy, Heather Monterozano and Lindsay Sterling were also under consideration for the role of Queenie. Samantha Morton as Mary Lou Barabone, a narrow-minded nomage and sinister leader of the New Salem Philanthropic Society, or Second Salemers, a group whose goals include exposing and killing wizards and witches. Ezra Miller as Credence Barabone, a secret obscurus wizard and Mary Lou's troubled adopted son. Jon Voight as Henry Shaw Sr., a newspaper owner and father of U.S. Senator Henry Shaw Jr. and Langdon Shaw. Carmen Ejogo as Serafina Pickery, the president of the MAC USA, the Magical Congress of the United States of America. As such, she is the American equivalent of the Minister of Magic in the United Kingdom. Colin Farrell as Percival Graves, a high-ranking Aura and director of the Magical Security for the MAC USA, responsible for the protection of wizards. Since Grindelwald spends most of the film in disguise as Percival Graves, Colin Farrell portrays him in those scenes. Ron Perlman as the voice of Gnarlock, a goblin gangster who owns a magical speakeasy nightclub called the Blind Pig. Faith Wood Blagrove as Modesty Barabone, a haunted young girl who is the youngest of Mary Lou's adopted children. Wood Blagrove was chosen from among thousands of children who auditioned in an open casting call. Ronan Rafferty as Langdon Shaw, the youngest of Henry Shaw Sr.'s sons who begins to believe in magic. Josh Cowdery as Henry Shaw Jr., the eldest of Henry Shaw Sr.'s sons. And Arrogant Cruel, U.S. Senator. And of course, finally, Johnny Depp as Gellert Grindelwald, an infamous, powerful dark wizard who believes in the superiority of wizards and seeks to lead a new wizarding order. Zoe Kravitz appears in a photograph as Leslie Lestrange, Newt's former love and who betrayed his trust to set up a role in the sequel film Fantastic Beasts, The Crime of Grindelwald. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is mentioned several times as a school textbook in the Harry Potter book series, although Scamander himself does not appear in any of the books. In 2001, Rowling published an edition of the textbook to be sold to raise money for the British charity Comic Relief. The book is a directory of magical creatures, with introduction to its author, Newt Scamander, and the book does not contain its own narrative. First announced in September 2013, just 2 years after the release of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Fantastic Beasts marked J.K. Rowling's debut as a screenwriter. The film sees the return of producer David Heyman, as well as writer Stephen Kloves, both veterans of the Potter film franchise. There were rumours of Alfonso Cuarón would direct, which he refused in May 2014. Warner Brothers announced that David Yates would direct at least the first installment of the planned trilogy. James Newton Howard was brought on to do the score for the film. Now on review, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them draws on Harry Potter's rich mythology to deliver a spin-off that dazzles with a franchise-building magic all on its own. I found it to be quite a good-natured, unpretentious and buoyant film, with wonderful set designs and fantastic costumes. It definitely delivers on a most satisfying period fantasy. Now, Newt Scamander is nothing like Harry, but it has to be this way in many ways. He has to be different. Harry Potter is such a unique, courageous character, and Newt couldn't begin to live in Harry Potter's shadow. And I don't mind this. Newt is his own person. He's different, and he shouldn't really be compared. But there's just enough sameness to make us feel like we're at home again in the Wizarding World. Obviously, fans of the Potter series will love this film, as it is acting as a prequel to their favourite stories. And of course, it goes without saying there will be comparisons made to the Potter films, as this is in the same universe. But this film is nowhere on that level of originality and powerful content that the Potter series has. If you have to watch it on its own, it's a nice, easy film. It focuses on big topics like outsiders facing intolerance and segregation and demonetization, and that although the film gets bogged down in exposition, the unexpectedly moving subtext carries the day. Eddie Redmayne is purposely understated as Newt, although I still wonder if he's the leading man to steal the show. I particularly like the casting of Colin Farrell, and he can never really put a foot wrong, as he's a fantastic actor. I was just sorry to see that in the end, of course, he was just a guise for Johnny Depp. And frankly, I would rather have Colin Farrell remained in the role throughout the series than having him being replaced by the irritating Johnny Depp. Ezra Miller is okay, if not somewhat annoying, as Credence. I enjoyed Dan Fogler as the comedy sidekick, and Waterston is bland, but does what she has to do. It's a fun, fantastical film, and of course with technology improving every year, so does the CGI. But a CGI isn't enough to carry a film, but there is a lot of heart in the story, and it does come across as a very charming film, and is most entertaining. For me, I enjoyed the film far more when I stopped comparing it to Harry Potter. Nothing much will live up to the Harry Potter series, as they are just such fantastic stories. This film, on its own, is fine. It's fun, it's fantastical, and it's pure escapism. And think of it more as a Potter history lesson than a prequel. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them gets a 7 out of 10.